Hey, what's up? It's Luke here. So you're either two people, one that likes their music straight out of their smartphone speakers, and one who mirrors it to other secondary peripheral devices like Bluetooth speakers and stuff. And for a long time, I have been the first type. And wait, hold your keyboards. That's about to change. Maybe. Now it's 2024 and there are a ton of wireless options from crazy expensive like 1500 to really cheap like $1 earphones. Okay, maybe that's exaggerating, but I don't have access to virtually the most expensive earphones yet. But this earphone specifically has been on my radar for a while now. So ladies and gentlemen, this is the Oraimo FreePods Lite. The free there is not literal because it cost me like 20 bucks, but I think this is the definition of value for money. So this design is really sexy. I can't hold it, there's just something about transparent design choices that is just surreal. But I think the only downside from this design is the ear tips, not everyone is a fan of that. But from the matte black case with a semi-transparent top to the really sexy translucent earphones, and is that the chipset? Well, IPX4 meaning sweat in sporting won't thread this system. Now my only downside with this design has to do with the shape of my ears, which makes it a stretch to fit in my ears. So I have to adjust it like in every 10 minutes, which is annoying. But I think it boils down to your anatomy and physiology, the way your body builds a natural bias in different parts of your system, which in my case is the ears. So you put on these earbuds and you look like, wait a second, like this, which naturally makes you bring your phone for connectivity. It's a Bluetooth 5.3 enabled device which makes pairing really easy with this device, but that's not the only way. You can also make connectivity from the Oraimo app, which I definitely recommend, available on iOS and Android. Plus, it gives you the latitude of adjusting things like the EQ and gesture controls, which we'll get to back later. But the app itself is really simple, it's snappy, basically does what it's supposed to. But sadly, it only works online. I personally can live with that. I mean, how else would you be able to map the gesture control? I spoiled it. Either way, the ease of connectivity shouldn't be taken for granted. I mean, Oraimo slides in here a button for pairing, but when you spend 3 seconds on it, you pretty much won't remember it's there in the first place. So, petition to remove the button, right? But you hit that play button from your playlist, and how does it sound? Well, it sounds decent for an entry-level earphone, but the general listening experience for music is muffled by a ton of bass, some respectable mid-tones, and the high tones don't get as clear. And Oraimo says this earphone has their special tuned heavy bass technology, which is specifically adjusted for Afro-style music listening, and yeah, there is a ton of bass in that genre. But say you like some orchestra and love to hear the separation of like the individual instruments. Well, don't get your hopes up because that separation is merely vague. But, and that's a big one, the acoustics from people talking in podcasts and YouTube videos is just surreal.
Wow.
I haven't experienced such vocal clarity for a while now. The experience is what I would say close to natural, but it might be that those shows have been recorded in pretty much high quality. Either way, the voice is just fire. Now, back to the controls, and this is where the app comes in handy. Now, the FreePods Lite use a force-sensitive conduction material in place for your input for controls. Now, that choice of material means the FreePods Lite can accept input by means of tapping, pressing, or a combination of the two. And by default, double tap on the left or right earbud pauses the music, triple tap on the left earbud opens game mode, and on the right opens the voice assistant, and single tap does nothing on both earphones. But you can configure this input to a select preset, which is not bad at all, but I wish there was an option to manually program different inputs, but it's not that huge of a deal. Okay, what else? The connectivity is great, the inputs are fine, but how about the batteries? Well, this is in itself a small system, which is a physics hindrance to slide in here larger batteries, but this has a gigantic battery. It's a 500 milliamp hour cell, which seems small when compared to like smartphones, but for context, the new AirPods 4 have a 396 milliamp hour battery with 5 hours of playtime. Well, that is respectable considering the surround sound tech, the ANC and whatever. But 40 hours of playtime is what Oraimo promised. That's nearly 2 days. But yeah, that time is as relevant as it could get. I mean, I haven't shared this device not once from the past week, which is surreal by the way. And that is contributed by the 8 hours of playtime from the FreePods Lite themselves, and the additional 32 hours is from the case. And it seems like every claim Oraimo made on their website is pretty much accurate. Like charge 20 minutes, get 120 minutes of playtime is by itself surreal, but close to that lab test from my testing. Plus, it charges by USB-C. You can't ignore that. Oh, what am I forgetting? Yes, two things actually. First is ENC, and no, not the famous active noise cancellation, but the infamous environmental noise cancellation. And what ENC does is basically study the environment signal waveforms and isolate them to improve clarity in phone calls. Okay, so you're outside and about. This is pretty much what you'll be getting from the Oraimo freepods Lite mics. Let me know in the comments how they sound, how they look, how they sound. Down in the comments below. So as you can already tell, I personally think they sound good. I mean, as good as well as mics could get. And the ENC actually works because there are times where I struggle to hear someone in a call due to ambient noise, but they could hear me pretty well. So well played, Oraimo. But ANC does the complete opposite. Instead of isolating, it straight up blocks all the ambient waveform signals that tend to make way to your eardrums and create a more surround sound experience when listening to music or play games. But ANC is crazy expensive. I mean, if these earphones were to have active noise cancellation, its price would jump from 20 to 70 bucks in a flash, and that will basically make them the FreePods Pro, but that's a video for another time. However, since these are in-ear earphones, then you get some level of physical isolation from just its dimension physics. Now, secondly is latency, and this is pretty much the reason you hear the media beg for a comeback of wired earphones, so I'm going to make it simple. So basically, latency is the delay between an action and the response, and in our case of audio, it's the delay between a character saying hey to your earphones doing the computation in math and thinking to output and you hearing the word hey. And don't get me wrong, Oraimo has done a pretty decent job miniaturizing the delta as much as possible. I mean, it's even marketed to have a dedicated game mode to reduce that latency as far as possible, but it still is not quite there. I mean, there are a significant amount of time where I straight up had hiccups between the audio and video I'm watching, and sometimes games I'm playing, and believe me, that experience of being off sync is hilarious as much as it is unnatural. Plus, there are times where the signal is terrible in playback, like that. I mean, on an ideally perfect world, Oraimo advertises these earphones to have nearly 10 meters of range. To my American friends, that's about 32 feet. But those are at lab conditions. Practically, I'm not that tall. I mean, I'm barely 6 feet. But do you want to know what's even shorter? The distance from my face to my pockets. And at that distance, the signal becomes really, really choppy. Now, I must say that part of this has to do with the geography and where I live, which is really cold, really windy, and hell yeah, green. but this issue is pretty relevant even in not so windy times, and it's gotta do with my phone in pocket. So if my phone is on the left pocket, then the right earbud is wasted, and if my phone is on the right ear pocket, then the left earbud is wasted. And this is pretty relevant. So if my phone doesn't have a case on, so basically you get the idea. I tried looking this up on the web and didn't find what exactly causes this. So if you know, be sure to leave your answer on the comments below. Okay, let's get serious. Who is this device for? If you're someone who wants vertical integration, like you want to build your ecosystem of devices, then for 20 bucks, this earphone is a great starting point. Or maybe you're someone who just wants a great sounding earbud and don't want to break the bank, then yeah, this is a solid sounding bass heavy earbud that will satisfy those needs as long as you can live with the pairing and connected voice prompts, then you're good to go. But if you're someone who is looking for ANC, spatial audio, minimal latency, find my feature, hearing aid, transparency mode, I mean you can go all day, well, you my friend should subscribe because I've just saved you 20 bucks plus an unboxing experience. And you wanna know what sounds even better? The speakers of these two phones right here. Anyway, thanks for watching, and as always, the on the limit is your imagination. Peace.